Welcome to the First Time Homebuyer Workshop with Julie Marion, and today we're speaking about water, specifically the water delivery system to your home, the drinking water and the wastewater. And we're going to be talking about impacts on first-time homebuyers. Here on this channel, we are going to be giving you acorns and acorns of information to empower you first-time homebuyer. Everything in this content piece is in addition to the content in our mini course and our paid workshops, because there is a whole lot of gray area that you will encounter when buying your first house. And most of the transactional people will direct you someplace else. It's a nice way of saying, do your own research. In my mind, something's wrong with the system that is set up in this country, but it's too big and too complex to rearrange. So the easiest thing is for you to become empowered and savvy. So let's get to it today. There are two water systems that you need in a house. The water coming into the house for drinking and showering purposes, and the water needed for sewage purposes. Because this is for use nationwide, this video, this is an overview in general. And in general, our drinking water comes from both surface water and from wells. Surface water includes dams like the Hoover Dam, reservoirs, not so much lakes, because that term in urban planning is typically used for recreational activities, but not always, so don't hold me to that, just in general, guys. And it can come from wells, either community wells or private wells. The surface water and community wells then are treated at a water treatment plant where federal standards are met for safe drinking water and tested many times over for water quality. The color and the turbidity and the bacteria are removed from the water through a filtration process, and those that are unfamiliar with the definition of turbidity, it is the cloudiness or haziness of a fluid caused by large numbers of individual particles that are generally invisible to the naked eye, similar to smoke in the air. The measurement of turbidity is a key test of both water clarity and quality. Fluids contain suspended solid material consisting of particles of many different sizes. The water is then treated for corrosion control. Now think about this for a minute. Corrosion control, meaning the water, if the water is not treated, it will corrode the delivery systems, meaning corroding the pipes that deliver the water to your house, and the water will corrode your pipes in the house. Now, I don't mean to explain this like a kindergartner, but these regulations are just sort of a glossing over some of these really important things about the water delivery system. And let me ask you, do you know what the pipes are made of that deliver water to the area where you live? We are going to discuss this a little more later, so let's keep moving in terms of what happens with the water treatment. So the water is then gathered and it will be treated at the filtration plant, and it is adjusted for pH levels, disinfection, and fluoride is added in many treatment plants, which helps with tooth decay before it's delivered to the general population. The water treatment process is regulated, and when it is quote-unquote surface water, other parts of the treatment process are enacted. There are pre-treatment chemicals that are added to coagulate impurities, which are then settled out in large sedimentation tanks. Water is then filtered through at least 40 inches of mixed media filters. The filters are made up of components of sand, gravel, rocks, and carbon filters. These are big, huge systems, not like a filter on your kitchen counter. Then chlorine is added to disinfect the water to prevent waterborne diseases. When our town overdoes the chlorine, my husband always notices it and complains. Then the water districts raise the pH level of the water to reduce the acidity, helping to prevent internal plumbing corrosion. A corrosion inhibitor is used to minimize the leaching of the lead and the copper from household plumbing, which is a very common type of piping that is used in homes to deliver water inside of the house. Water contamination can pose serious health risks, especially for young children. Lead poisoning and exposure to other toxins like PFAS can cause developmental delays, behavioral problems, and long-term health issues. The condition of the delivery system directly affects the safety of your drinking water. whether it is inside the home or it's the delivery system to the home. And failing to address this can lead to costly health treatments or expensive system upgrades. Homes with untreated or old water systems may cause unexpected medical bills and costly renovations. According to the Natural Resources Defense Council, 56% of Americans consume water with lead levels above the recommended safety limit. Between 2018 and 20, lead in drinking water. You might be wondering who this NRDC is that I'm quoting, and just so you are aware, the Natural Resources Defense Council played a key role in helping to get the Clean Water Act passed in 1972. Now, if you have a private well, your water treatment is up to you. It is recommended that you test your water annually so you know what is in your water and you can keep you and other household members safe. It's important to test regularly because water and contaminants move and they can leach into one area and then migrate to another. Most water departments identify land uses that surround the water supplies and identify if there are any contaminants, but not always. All water in the United States is expected to contain some or at least a small number of contaminants, but this level usually doesn't pose a health risk. As water travels over the surface of the land or through the ground, it dissolves naturally occurring minerals and, in some cases, radioactive material, and can pick up substances resulting from the presence of animals or human activity. Microbial contaminants such as viruses and bacteria, which may come from sewage treatment plants, septic system, agricultural livestock operations, or wildlife. Inorganic contaminants such as salt and metals, which can be naturally occurring or may result from urban storm water runoff, industrial or domestic wastewater discharges, oil and gas production, mining, or farming. Then you have pesticides and herbicides, which may come from a variety of sources such as agriculture, urban storm runoff, and residential uses. Then we have organic chemical contaminants, including synthetic and volatile organic chemicals, which are byproducts of industrial processes and petroleum production, and may come from gas stations, urban storm runoff, and septic systems. We also have radioactive contaminants, which can be naturally occurring or may be the result of oil and gas production and mining activity. One thing to realize here is the urban runoff and all of this water does go someplace. So something to keep in mind is the types of fertilizer you may use, paints and solvents. When there is a spill, there is the flushing of the water, and hazardous materials eventually end up in our water supply. Now let's talk about how to find out what the heck is happening with the water distribution system for the house that you're thinking about possibly buying. There's a listing of all of the details in something entitled the Multiple Listing Sheet, or MLS sheet for short. And you should be reviewing this piece of paper when you are considering a house. The sheet will state if the water that services the house comes from a well or from a water sewer division at the local government area. The glossy marketing brochure usually doesn't have this information, so be sure to get it from your real estate agent or the listing agent. They do have it. I'd like to also flip back to a topic I introduced a little bit ago, because people really looking to buy a house, this never comes up. People don't ask and they don't check it out. And well, I want to drive home the point that as a first-time home buyer, no one cares more about your health. And if you have children or your parents, then you do. So please be vigilant in diving into this discussion. And one area I want to talk about is lead. I hate to be cynical or an alarmist, and I'm quoting a new NRDC analysis of the most recent EPA data shows that 186 million people in the United States, a staggering 56% of the population, drank water from water systems detecting lead levels that exceed the recommended levels by the American Academy of Pediatrics. that protect children from lead in school water fountains. More than 61 million people were served drinking water that exceeded the limits set by the Food and Drug Administration. 7 million people were served by systems that exceeded the EPA's lead action level. The EPA and health experts agree no amount of lead is safe, so any level above 0 is not considered safe. Do you remember in 1978 the United States banned lead paint? Well, probably not. You probably don't remember that. But you may remember the water scandal of Flint, Michigan, where public water being delivered to homes was contaminated, and the population base of Flint, Michigan noticed. In fact, it was one doctor that sounded the alarm. Dr. Mona Hanna-Tisha, as seen on 60 Minutes, was the first to notice there were high levels of lead in children in the area. And she says, and I quote from the 60-minute interview, there is no safe level of lead. She goes on to say, and I'm paraphrasing here, there's no amount of lead that is good for anyone. There is no safe level of lead. Exposure to this substance is an irreversible neurotoxin that attacks the core of what it means to be you. It impacts cognition, how children think. IQ levels drop, behaviors impacted, things like developmental delays, and it has life-altering consequences. So what happened is when the city of Flint, as a budgetary issue, switched from obtaining water from the Great Lakes to the Flint River, General Motors noticed that the water they were using in their manufacturing process was corroding the engine parts of new cars. And what is really astonishing is that General Motors was allowed to switch back to using water from the Great Lakes, and the city continued to deliver contaminated water to the residents of Flint. Now let's be clear here. The residents were obtaining water from the Flint River, and the water in the river was not being treated for the corrosive minerals as they would normally do during the water filtration process at a water filtration plant. And because it wasn't treated, the water ate away at the lead distribution pipes. Now remember when I spoke of the fact that part of the water treatment process is to treat the water with several steps, and one of those steps is adding something so that the pH rises and it reduces the acidity that eats away at the pipes. Or another way to say this is you want to add a neutralizer to raise the alkalinity, for example. Adding pH drops or baking soda to your water to boost the alkalinity. For example, distilled water is neutral, often something people use in an iron to iron clothes so it doesn't corrode the appliance. So in Flint, the water was not treated, meaning it did not go through a water treatment process that met the EPA guidelines. And so when it was distributed through the lead pipes, the lead ended up in the end user's water bottles, pots, pans, and showers. This is deplorable. And what is even worse is that the problem is not corrected. The residents of the area are trucking in bottled water. This has been going on for years, and it's terrible. Now you may think, oh, well, that's not near me, but you really need to look into your local water department test results to see what's happening. But better yet, it's most important to test it on site. And while lead is listed as a toxin since I was a young child, there is another type of toxin that is infiltrating our system that is called PFAS. PFAS are a group of manufactured chemicals used worldwide since 1950, making coatings and products that resist heat and oil and stains and grease and water. During production, and the PFAS migrate into the soil, water, and air. Most PFAS do not break down. They remain in the environment, ultimately finding their way into drinking water. And because of the widespread use, they're persistent in the environment is found worldwide. Some PFAS can build up in people and animals with repeated exposure over time. Many of these PFAS have been phased out of production for use in the United States, but other countries may still manufacture them and use them. So what are these little devils? Well, I'm glad you asked. Some common products that could include PFAS include grease-resistant paper from fast food containers and wrappers, microwave popcorn bags, pizza boxes, non-stick cookware, stain-resistant coatings on carpet, water-resistant clothing, personal care products like shampoo and dental floss and cosmetics, nail polish and eye makeup, cleaning products, paints and varnishes and sealants. So think about it. You have a Teflon pan that has PFAS. You cook your food in it, then you wash it, and then the PFAS go into the water supply and it's treated, but they can't get rid of the PFAS. And there it is. That is why understanding where your water is coming from when you're buying your first home is key. Be vigilant and stay healthy. Homework. Yes, you have homework. I want you to pretend you're going to buy a house for a particular home. Take 3 examples and look where the water source is coming from and what is servicing this particular piece of property. Go to the town websites and start looking around at the water quality reports that are available for the public. Come back next time and know what type of delivery system is in your area and what the water tests say in your area, as we will fold back another layer in discovering things about the area where you might want to live. You, first-time home buyer, are on your way to becoming very savvy. Keep going, and we invite you to join us in our free mini class entitled Homebuying Chaos Unwrapped, where this class explains who does what and why. So as soon as you walk into an open house, fill out a form or call a banker, you know what you're doing. We have a paid class as well, but first, honestly, I want you to get to know me and see if what I'm talking about is helping you. There are so many gray areas in real estate, and I believe this is where home buyer's remorse can start. You have been promoted to CEO of your home buying journey, and it can be pretty scary if you don't know exactly what you're doing. I think of CEOs as being super knowledgeable, lots of experience, and a few life experiences under their belt. Not someone who's doing something for the first time, but hey, that's me. Until next time, from the team at the First Time Home Buyer Workshop with Julie Marion, bye for now.